Hi there, YouTube. This is the Magnus, bringing you another Total War Warhammer online ladder battle. This time I elected to play as the Dwarfs, and my opponent brought the Crooked Moon Greenskins. So let's take a look at my build here. I have 6 Dwarf Warriors in a line up front. I have 2 Quarrelers. I have Ulthar's Raiders, the Goblobber, Thorgrim, Athane, a Runesmith, and then in my back line I have the Warriors of Dragonfire Pass, the Grumbling Guard, and the Dragonback Slayers. As far as my opponent, the only things I could see are like these units and these, and that was it. All of these are hidden, as you can see, with a little eye icon. Same over here. So I was a little confused about where things were or what was coming. It's pretty intimidating when you know there's a bunch of stuff out there, but you don't know where it is. So back here, there's 2 Goblin Archers. He has the Hammer of Gork and a Doomdiver Catapult. Here are 2 Goblin Big Bosses, a Night Goblin War Boss, and a Ragnarok Spider. On this side, he has 5 Nasty Skulkers with a Night Goblin Shaman. And in the forest are 5 Squig Herd. So let's go ahead and get this started and see how it develops. Now, of course, it's going to start with artillery, and the only thing I knew I could shoot at was either here or here. So, I'm sorry, yeah, here. So he's shooting at my guys. I'm going to be shooting at his guys here for a little bit. And really, I'm just trying to avoid having to push forward, not knowing what I'm getting into. And as you can see, there's quite a trap set for me if I did advance. So I'm just shooting at his Goblin Archers here, and maybe I'll hit the Hammer of Gork a bit. And now all of a sudden, it looks like he's aiming for my Lord, but he's probably just like a shot that missed. But then this happens. I'm aiming my artillery, and the next thing I know, there's freaking squigs coming out of everywhere. So I'm like, okay. And once I catch it, I start pulling a lot of guys over, and then I'm like, well, I better pull everything over. But then I'm nervous, and I kind of hesitate a bit because I don't know what's over here. I know that Ragnarok and his Goblin Big Boss boys are coming over, but beyond that, I really don't know. You know, as most of you are probably aware, squigs are pretty darn effective against dwarfs. A lot of people spam these things, but we're going to be able to chase them off for the time being. And then I'm going to see that there's another whole front coming this way. So now I've got to pull some infantry back over this way, change my missile targets. So it's getting pretty hectic right out the gate, which is definitely a compliment to my opponent. He's done a good job of making me uncomfortable and not having any sort of a semblance of a line. I have like a blob here, and I'm going to start to blob there, which is far from ideal. But when you're trying to react, you know, to an ever-changing situation, it's not too atypical. So I'm going to have my missiles shoot at the Ragnarok Spider, but with the amount of armor that this thing has, the Quarrelers are not all that effective. The Ulthar's Raiders will be the ones that will be able to do the most damage to it. But as you can see over here, some of my infantry is already retreating. Then here comes more squigs into my catapult. Here comes more of the Nasty Skulkers. On the right side, I dispatched most of them. These 2 are permanently gone. These guys are coming back, and already came back. And he still has all this back here, though I don't know why he hasn't brought up his archers yet, because, you know, I've already got all my cards on the table, so he may as well press with that power, I think. I'm going to try to use some runes here to save my Goblobber, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen. The Ragnarok Spider just not having any luck getting any damage down on this thing, even though I've got just about everybody whacking at it. Do not have enough armor piercing to deal with this thing, to be honest. So finally, some of my higher grade units are going to go over here. The Grumbling Guard, Warriors of Dragonfire Pass. I'm hoping they're going to provide some much needed DPS. So far, though, the balance bar is still in the middle, so I don't think I'm too bad off. But here, his squigs are winning. Right now, I've got 3 units fleeing this way. Back here, it looks like my group of leaders, my heroes and my Lord, are going to be able to clean that up. But I definitely don't like what I'm seeing here. as far as his numbers, as far as the damage I've been able to do to the Arachnarok Spider so far, have all been underwhelming. So then he brings the Goblin Big Bosses into my heroes and my lord. So I'm thinking, should I be going to help fight the Spider? Should I try to spike his leader? Or should I just fight this here? So I decided to fight what's presented to me, try to clean them up as quickly as I can. But as you can see, the balance bar is already starting to shift pretty heavily in my opponent's favor. I just don't have a whole lot left, and this Arachnarok Spider is a damn nightmare. But I'm using my runes. I'm not giving up. I'm doing everything I can here to try to hang in. Now I'm going after his Night Goblin War Boss. I'm putting some pretty decent damage down on him. I think he notices that, and now the Arachnarok's going to come make problems for me, which I'm not looking forward to. He uses his potions. He casts Wah, so thankfully, though, most of his units are not in the radius for Wah, so they're not going to get affected by that. He did bring his missiles up now, so they're shooting in the backs of my men. And it looks like everybody's kind of piling up towards the middle for the time being. The Arachnarok Spider gets damaged enough that it's going to run away for the time being. One of his Goblin Big Bosses is freaking out. But his Night Goblin War Boss, because of the potions, it got quite healed up. I'm just using everything I can to keep... I try to keep guys of his fleeing and keep my guys fighting. Thankfully, the heroes and the Lord that you have as the Dwarfs are quite capable and can hang in there a long time. This Quarreler, who thought he had snuck off and got an angle, did not. Now, his Night Goblin War Boss breaks completely, which is a huge boon to me. I'm still an underdog, but it gives me, some sort of a fighting chance, or at least I'd like to think. His Spider comes back, so I send out the Dragonback Slayers to try to deal with it and rout it off the field or kill it. His Goblin Big Boss now is going down, which is very promising as well. Over here you see a little bit of stuff break there. I'm not sure. I think it was a Squig Herd. Yeah, it was a Squig Herd that breaks. But still, I'm outnumbered horribly, but the balance of power bars come back to the middle. So, as hectic and crazy as this mess has been, stick with it, and it's saying we have a chance now. So now I'm just hunting down the Night Goblin Shaman, and I want to keep my army together. That way they stay fresh from the Grumbling Guard, and also so all the runes and things of that nature are going to affect everybody. He's kind of split up. He's got guys over here, guys back here, guys here, over here. I don't want to be in that situation. The other thing I like is that I'm coming down this downhill, which is going to take the majority of my army here out of being in a good range and line of sight for his artillery. You're going to see those archers are still having fun shooting into the back of my Dwarf warriors. They're all but dead. This Night Goblin Shaman doesn't want to leave, so we're going to go up to 2 speed because we are going to get him off the field. He just needs an escort. He doesn't want to die, little bastard, so he's going to make it all the way to the edge of the map. Now, in the meantime, my opponent cleans up all the units I had that were fleeing up here are all gone, so this is all I have left. These Quarrelers have 197 health left. Unbelievable. So then I was thinking to rest my guys, and then I looked down and I'm like, oh, well, we're still very well rested. Love that ability. So I'm just going to kind of park it here for a second to get everybody lined up while I'm, kind of, sort of protected by this terrain. It's a little harder to hit me. And then I'm going to make the push. So the plan is to go up and just kind of like Death Star it, blob it up, just hit things as hard as I can and hope that I can get some of them to break. And you can see the balance bar starts to shift in my favor, which I was pretty surprised by at the time. So we come in here, we're working on the Hammer of Gork. It didn't have any ammo left, so he sent in his infantry, but I want as many people fleeing as possible to create like a chain route type situation. So I don't go, straight for his boss. I go for, these nasty skulkers and whatnot, make them flee. Then I work on the goblin boss. While I'm doing that, boom, everybody runs. So, pretty long fight. and one that I was pretty certain I had lost when that bar was really heavy in his favor and he had me pulled in every direction. But again, another reason to never give up. If you keep fighting, you don't panic. Sometimes you're gonna pull it off, and we definitely pulled one off here. So let's take a look at the tail of the tape. My artillery got some kills, but considering it was outnumbered artillery-wise and pretty soon encumbered by tons of greenskins, didn't do that well. The Dwarf Warriors did okay. I'd like these numbers to be better, but considering they were fighting Nasty Skulkers and Squig Herd, who are both just a little bit above its price range, they didn't do too bad at all. The Warriors of Dragonfire Pass, 48 kills, good. The Grumbling Guard survived the entire fight, kept everybody fresh, and put up 67 kills. I'm happy with that. Dragonback Slayers, 123 kills, definitely the star of the show. My missiles did not do well. But considering they spent most of their relatively short life shooting at an Arachnarok spider, I can't complain too much. And my leadership squad, the leaders did great. Thorgrim hung in there the whole battle, even though he was low for quite some time on health. And the runesmith hung in there. That means I got to use each of those runes so many times, probably 6, 7, 10 times. So that's fantastic. And the Thane, after using his potion, barely a scratch, and he put up some kills and acted as an HP sponge. Good game to my opponent, and I believe Romulan Dog's pretty highly rated. I don't remember off the top of my head, but he definitely played well and had a really neat plan that very nearly worked. 118 kills on his Doom Diver's great. Hammer Gork did well. The Arachnarok did extremely well. One of the Squig Herd did great. Another one decent. The rest kind of, meh. For Goblin Archers, those are pretty good kills, especially against Dwarfs with no, considering they have no armor piercing and they're dirt cheap. The Nasty Skulkers did well. I think the part that maybe failed them a little bit was his leaders as far as, kills and survivability. But all in all, it was almost a coin flip there, right? So you can't really criticize a build that damn near killed you on multiple occasions. So again, good game to my opponent. If you learned something, if you enjoyed the battle, please hit like, please hit subscribe. Until the next time, this is the Magnus, and I'll see you on the ladder.